Hello, my name is Estrella Sendra, and I would like to start by thanking Dorota, Ostrowska, and Tamara Falicov for the organization of this Contours of Film Festivals research and methodologies. It's a pleasure for me to be here today and talk about immersive methodology and collaboration in film festival research. This is a presentation that mainly draws on the methods that I applied in my doctoral thesis and that I continue to apply as I keep working on the field of film festivals. Since we are talking about the direction in film festival research, it is worth asking ourselves, how do we arrive at festivals? How do we move along its circuit? And this is an important point of departure for an immersive methodology in which we acknowledge our positionality, we introduce ourselves in the festival circuit. We need to ask ourselves, who are we? What brought us here? What is our background story? Why am I here? And this way, we can start seeing the connection between our concerns and those by others, but also it is an ethical way of starting research and to approach the subjects we work with. And I would like to emphasize this. We work with research subjects and not just objects, in that they involve people. Because at the end of the day, we are doing arts, humanities, and social sciences, and because festivals are very much based on social capital. My doctoral thesis was about festivals in Senegal, and I looked specifically at the Festival of Folklore and Percussion in Louga, known as FESFOP. I was interested in the local and international dimension of festivals. This required being there not just at the festival FESFOP, but also at 18 other festivals. It could have been another number, but just to compare and contrast, to understand by deep hanging out, observing, being there, talking to people, seeing what was happening and how festivals were hosted. But this was something that was very much informed by my previous encounters with Senegal. First of all, as a Spanish filmmaker, because I had been to Senegal first to screen a documentary film that I had done about Senegalese migration to Spain. And I was also known over there as a journalist because I had done an internship in the Senegalese newspaper Le Soleil in the cultural section. So this had already immersed me into different spheres, the film culture over there and also the journalism circle. I was also known as a film festival curator because back then I was working as the director of the Cambridge African Film Festival based in the UK, where I was doing my studies. And also, I had met when I was working as a media officer in the African Film Festival of Cordoba, now hosted in Tarifa and Tanger in Morocco. I had met some of the Senegalese filmmakers that were now producing and organizing their own festivals over here. So all of this gave me different positionalities that kept coming up. I was not just seen as a researcher, but I was there also as kind of a partner, as a cultural agent as well, even if I was not Senegalese, of course. I also had to combine what I found over there because festivals are happening all over the country and I obviously couldn't be everywhere. I also had to combine this with archives. And again, thanks to being immersed in the journalism circle, I started by looking at the newspapers, what had been published in Le Soleil. And other than finding out about festivals, dates, and ways of living and experiencing them, I also was able to contextualize them within a broader understanding of cultures, of events that were happening, but also even of cultural policy. But I also realized that archives are rather limited. These were not the only archives I consulted, but archives curate their own stories about festivals. And I think today is very important to compare and contrast this with online archives, individual archives that are hosted or curated in, for instance, social media. This is why digital ethnography becomes a particularly relevant method. Facebook behaves as a crowdsourced, grassroots, collaborative, curated archive and site of celebration of these festivals. When websites do no longer work, there's always a Facebook page or a journalist or a former festival director that has posters over there, that has dates, that has images, and this is really, really important. When I wasn't in Senegal because I was back in the UK, I was often over there digitally through the virtual space of Facebook. And this allowed me to witness one of the first initiatives of online programming during COVID 19, which was by the Yenenga Center. We can see over here in this image in the bottom right Abdurrahman Sisakot having a live interview during what became an online festival, really. Initially, the Yenenga Center, which is an initiative we can talk about later, led by Senegalese filmmaker Alain Gomis, started to host different online screenings, but through giving links and passwords for people to watch over a certain period of time. But in so doing, it then became a very carefully curated film festival program that inspired other film festivals that were then hosted online. So again, digital ethnography, it's a very, very important methodology because it allows us to move along the circuit when we cannot be there present live, and we can also access things in different times at different times and in a repetitive way, but trying to also have a certain direction and coherence when we move along the circuit or the different activities within a festival. The ethnographic part of the study mainly then consisted of participant observation, either physical or virtual, but also of the adoption of visual methods. I did this kind of calendar, for instance, or I did as well maps, but I also did photos. I video recorded a variety of festivals, and I also made a documentary film about the main case study, FESPOP, which is still under post production. And this visual ethnography has also been key to this immersive and collaborative methodology because these images and videos can be shared with festival organizers, with artists, and it's also something that starts to allow us to give back. And this is something I wanted to devote some time to. An immersive and collaborative methodology is one that engages in dialogue, is dialogical, and is decolonizing in that it is multidirectional. It's not about going somewhere, taking data, and going back to the place of origin and spreading it, and that's it. It's much more multidirectional. It's about going back and forth. It's about collaboration. It's something that is not constrained to the festival dates, but that keeps happening before and after the festival. When I finished my PhD thesis, it was clear to me that I needed to go back to present the results, to share with participants what I had done with interviews, with moments shared together. And this was really rewarding. It was then that people were able to understand my positionality If we talk about this again, if we go back to the very beginning, as a festival researcher, it was then that they understood that this thesis was only possible thanks to being so polyphonic, thanks to including so many voices, and how when I traced for the first time this history of festivalization in Senegal, I was only able to do so thanks to the access that they had given me to all these rich resources, being it archives, oral testimonies, or testimonials, or even experiences over there as I was participating and observing in the field. So, how do we move forward in film festival research? I have just devoted one slide for this because I think that I've tried to emphasize how multidirectional this kind of research needs to be. This is why I think that one of the ways of moving forward is looking at diachronic studies of festivals that do not treat festivals only as isolated events that happen at a particular time, but rather that is studying them over time and in line with other festivals. We also need to diversify and decolonize film festival research, to collaborate with industry participants, to inform our research by practice as well. And we also need to focus on festivals within the broader creative industries and not just even film culture, but also cultural events and cultural happenings in any kind of place where we research both locally and globally. We also need to decentralize the festival time space, and also I suggest of the research period. What happens when festivals are no longer taking place, or how do festivals live over time when they are not alive? Thank you so much for your attention, and I welcome any questions you may have.